So shall we move to the situation in Minnesota?
Yeah,
so
this is nuts.
This is a crazy story. So I woke up this morning to hear that there had been an act of apparent political violence in Minnesota. So for people who aren't familiar with Minnesota politics, there used to be 100 years ago a lot of powerful third parties in America. And most of them are gone now, the old Socialist Party, the old Populist Party, and so on, the Progressive Party. But one of the vestigial remnants of that is the old Farmer Labor Party, which itself had formed from the merger of the Labor Party and the Farmers Party in Minnesota. Minnesota is a place where populism is very, it still has deep roots. Just next door to Wisconsin, where Fighting Bob La Follette was from.
That's right.
Iowa also. That whole region is agrarian populist. And so at one point, so instead of going away completely, the FDL merged with the Democratic Party. And today, when Minnesotans go to the polls, they get a choice between the Republican Party and the Democratic Farmer Labor Party.
That's right.
And it's not completely just on paper. I mean, it's spiritual mostly. Basically, they're Democrats, but they're a little bit to the left of the Democrats, right?
Yes.
And so there are two top-ranking FDL politicians in state politics in Minnesota. There's the Speaker Emerita, a woman, and then there's a high-ranking state senator. Last night, someone dressed as a police officer. I say dressed as a police officer. I mean, Harvey Milk, call your office. It might have been a police officer. We just don't know. But someone dressed as a police officer. We don't know. The authorities are claiming it's not, that it was an imposter, which is entirely possible too. Went to her house and shot her and her husband to death. And then went over to another community. These are both suburbs of Minneapolis, and killed both, shot and wounded the senator and his wife, who are both still alive at this point. I'm not sure about their condition.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll recover quickly. And he got into a gunfight with the authorities, with the local police, and made his escape. Is currently on the loose, and those communities are in lockdown. Locals are being asked to stay home while this person is hunted. It reminded me a little bit of the situation in the Boston metro area after the Boston Marathon bombings and the Tsarnaev brothers. So. And so that's the situation now. Now, I did a search and to try to figure out, could there be any kind of romantic involvement here, love triangle? There was a New Jersey state legislator who was assassinated a few years ago. That turned out to be a romantic intrigue thing.
Right.
I don't think there's any sign of that here. It looks like the only two things that these two people have in common is that they are both top-ranking FDL people and legislators. So, I mean, obviously this is pure speculation, but that's what shows like this are for. It looks like political violence, right? I think we're gonna find that this is a right winger who targeted both of these individuals for their politics. Now, of course, I could totally be wrong. Could be a left winger. I don't know. I mean, Gabby Giffords was shot by a Democrat. A Bernie Sanders supporter shot a congressman at the congressional softball game.
Scalise.
So you just never know. But the point is, what do you think?
In my mind, I feel like we're re-entering the period of 1968 to 1972 when this was happening all over the place. In 1968, Robert F. Kennedy was shot and killed. Martin Luther King was shot and killed. In 72, George Wallace was shot and paralyzed. Even as late as March of 1981, Ronald Reagan was shot and almost killed right here in Washington. And then we went through this period where, that kind of thing just didn't happen. And in 75, President Ford was shot at twice by two different women within 2 weeks of each other.
Right. One with my favorite name of any soon to become public figure.
Squeaky Fromm?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, beat that.
Just I'm going to shut this light off. This is apropos of nothing, but Squeaky Fromm lives now in upstate New York with some truck driver who used to write to her when she was in prison. And she was
I would
spotted.
sleep lightly. if she were my wife.
She was spotted recently at a Walmart up there. And somebody asked her, "Are you Squeaky Fromm? Can I have your autograph?" And she just said, "Fuck you," and got into a pickup truck and drove away.
I don't really blame her. It's like, she's probably just trying to keep a low profile, right? Like,
yeah. So anyway, it seems like we've re-entered this period where people conclude that it's okay to shoot and kill political figures with whom they disagree on issues, and it's not okay. It's nuts. What frightens me is that, at least so far, and of course the investigation is very early, we don't have any idea who this guy is in Minnesota, and he's a multiple murderer now already. Yeah,
and I mean, it could get worse if the injuries get worse, and not to mention, if he's not apprehended soon and hopefully peacefully, and I hope he's taken into custody and alive, so that we find out exactly what this is all about. No, I mean, the thing is also, I want to be clear here. I was talking to a friend of mine about this morning, and he pointed out, like, this is both, the rhetoric on both sides has been way overheated and way overcharged.
You're absolutely right.
Democrats and Republicans are each calling one another like traitors, enemy of the state, coup leaders, anti-American, just the worst stuff in the world. And if you do that over and over and over, some people are just going to, you can't blame them for these are political leaders. I'll do something about it. I'm going to take up arms and take out the trash.
I actually wrote an op-ed about exactly that issue, Ted. For me, one of my serious objections is the use of the word traitor or the word treason. Treason has a very specific constitutional meaning, right? It is to take up arms against your country in a time of war, and it is a death penalty offense. And we toss around this word like, oh, Trump's a traitor. Oh, Hillary Clinton's a traitor. No, they're not traitors. Just because you don't like their politics, or you disagree with their position on the issues, or you disagree with their style, their political style, doesn't mean that they should be put to death by firing squad, which is what the punishment for treason is. And, once we normalize vocabulary like that, it's a slippery slope to chaos, in my view.
John, we have some, so a manifesto identifying numerous lawmakers and public officials as possible targets was found in the car that was driven by the shooter who killed Minnesota State Rep Melissa Hortman, as well as her husband, and wounded State Senator John Hoffman. That, according to the Brooklyn Park, Minnesota police chief. People might remember Brooklyn Park as a hotbed of intrigue and violence during the BLM protests.
That's where Jesse Ventura was the mayor.
that too, right? I don't think I've ever knowingly been to Brooklyn Park. He was dressed in a police uniform and driving an SUV outfitted with emergency lights that was tricked out to look like a squad car. Of course, anyone with $40 can buy those lights.
Yeah.
But it's it's interesting. I mean, obviously, we'll have to see the contents of the manifesto. Generally, I think when someone publishes a manifesto before they do something, they at least assume there's a strong possibility that they're going to wind up dead at the end of the day, and they want to explain themselves and their motives. Right. So hopefully the guy doesn't have a death wish and doesn't plan to take anyone with him more than he's already, more damage than he's already done. This would suggest someone with military training, though, to me. Most of the time, when someone works themselves into a lather, I'm going to kill this person, I'm going to kill this person, they go and do it, and they're horrified by how ugly it is to kill a human being and blow holes into, a person's skin and see all their fluids pour out as they're screaming and begging for their life. They don't go across town and then do it again. That's unusual. Yeah. This
was well thought out. It was planned in advance. And I think that makes it even more dangerous. So we're probably not talking about some just, nut who's an escapee from a mental institution. This is somebody who put thought into this and got up yesterday morning thinking, today I'm going to kill a whole bunch of people. frightening.
Yeah. So, are we going to see more of this sort of thing? I mean, it just seems like in this kind of political atmosphere, we will. I mean, I'd be surprised if we don't.
I hate to say it, but I've got to agree with you. We're in a position, or we're in a period right now where we are so seriously divided as a country that these acts of extremism are becoming normalized. And that scares the daylights out of me.
And then I always wonder about, the kind of, the one person who's best situated to tamp this down is the president of the United States with the platform that he has. And he did issue the requisite, political, Governor Walz said, there's no place we don't solve our problems with violence, but we do solve our problems with violence every single day.
Every day.
We attack foreign countries with violence.
Did you see what the sheriff said in Florida yesterday? That if there are any demonstrations in his county, I'm the law in this county, that kind of Buford Pusser kind of attitude. And he said, if somebody throws a single stone or a single brick, we're going to kill him. It's like, yeah, that's first degree murder. You can't do that. Yeah.
And that's crazy.
It's crazy. Yes.
Like you're supposed to be bringing the temperature down. Like it could be I mean, seriously, when have you heard something like the following? I haven't heard it in years, like from law enforcement or from a politician. Police officers are your brothers, your fathers, your sisters. They are friends. They're peace officers. They're not here to make your life miserable here. They're trying to protect you, and they risk their lives to do it. Don't throw things at them. They're here to help you. You're on the same team. Nobody talks like that.
No, nobody talks like that.
It's adversarial. I mean,
yeah,
I don't understand why
Florida. Oh, it's so true. Tyler Travesty. Welcome to Florida. Yep. Hate to say it. That's Florida.
Yeah, and this is true. Yeah. All right. So, and I think before we bring in our guest, we should talk, just say there was a question in the chat. You answered it in the chat about your columns. People are asking where they can find them. The Consortium News and Covert Action Magazine, and sometimes at Sheer Post. And if you care about mine, you can find them at Creators Syndicate and in the Wall Street Journal and at raw.com.